Imagine literature as a kind of map, a map of human possibility. Some writers insist that human beings can be saved. Others warn that no one will save you, and no one will explain why. Victor Hugo and Franz Kafka do not merely write different protagonists. They write different moral realities. One sees redemption as something humans create for one another. The other sees hope as a misunderstanding of how the world actually works. The question is not, who's correct? The question is, which world do you live in? Hugo, the human who can be redeemed. Jean Valjean's beginning. A number, not a man. In Les Miserables, Jean Valjean serves 19 years, 5 for stealing bread to feed children, and 14 more for escape attempts. When he is finally released, he must carry a yellow passport marking him as a former convict. He is refused lodging. He is turned away from inns. People see the document, not the human being. Hugo's first lesson is brutal. Institutions do not know how to forgive. They catalog and punish. They do not heal. Valjean is not cruel by nature. He is brutalized by a society that sees his past and decides it is his identity forever. Then comes the turning point. Valjean steals the Bishop of Digne's silver and is caught. Brought back by the police, the bishop insists the silver was a gift. He even adds 2 candlesticks. And then, alone with Valjean, he speaks words that Hugo prints explicitly. Jean Valjean, my brother, you belong no longer to evil but to good. It is your soul that I am buying for you. I withdraw it from dark thoughts and from the spirit of perdition, and I give it to God. This is not sentimental forgiveness. It is a command. Live a different life. Grace, in Hugo's world, is not a reward for virtue. It is the spark that ignites it. Redemption as work, not a gift. Valjean's transformation is not instant. It is a decision that must be maintained through risk and sacrifice. He becomes Monsieur Madeleine, a factory owner and mayor. He rescues Fantine when society has destroyed her. He raises Cosette with tenderness. He descends into the Paris sewers to carry Marius to safety. Each act builds upon the bishop's challenge. Be worthy of the mercy you received. Hugo's point is clear. Redemption is not a feeling. It is a life lived differently. Even the fallen matter Hugo refuses to discard anyone. Fantine dies from poverty and shame, but she dies believing her daughter will be cared for. Valjean keeps that promise. Gavroche, street child, unwanted, ignored, dies on the barricade collecting cartridges from fallen soldiers. Hugo does not treat him as a statistic. He treats him as a citizen of moral importance. Hugo insists that the weak, the poor, the broken, their stories matter. Even if the world ignores them, the novel will not. Hugo's worldview. Hugo's France is violent and unjust. He never tries to hide that. And yet he believes human beings can rise above the systems that crush them. Love is stronger than law. Grace is possible, even in the gutter. Valjean's transformation is not wishful thinking. It is Hugo's argument for civilization. If the law cannot be humane, people must be. Hugo himself campaigned against capital punishment. He called the death penalty the special and eternal sign of barbarity. He did not merely write about mercy. He fought for it. Kafka, the human who cannot escape Josef K and the machinery. In the trial, Kafka opens with one of the most famous sentences in modern literature. Someone must have slandered Josef K. For one morning, without having done anything wrong, he was arrested. There is no motive, no accusation, no event he can point to, only a procedure that has already begun. The court exists in attics, side rooms, anonymous offices. Everyone behaves as if this is normal. as if the machinery is invisible to everyone except the accused. Kafka's universe is not moral nor cruel in a human sense. It is structural. The system does not care whether Josef K is good or bad. It cares only that he is caught inside it. Josef K tries to defend himself. He seeks hearings. He consults lawyers. He pursues explanations. Every attempt draws him deeper. Unlike in Hugo, action is not salvation. Action is entanglement. Kafka makes the point formally and philosophically in the parable Before the Law, told by the prison chaplain. A man begs to enter the law. A gatekeeper refuses. The man waits his entire life at the door. Only when he dies does the gatekeeper say, "This door was meant only for you. Now I am going to close it." Kafka is not teaching patience. He is exposing the absurdity of seeking meaning from systems built without any interest in human beings. Gregor Samsa, The Horror of Inconvenience. In the Metamorphosis, Gregor Samsa wakes as a monstrous vermin. Kafka offers no explanation. The horror is not the transformation. The horror is how quickly everyone adapts. Gregor becomes inconvenient. No longer able to work, he is locked away, tolerated, then despised. When he dies, Kafka writes that the family feels relief. They plan to move to a nicer apartment. His death is not a tragedy. It is a logistical improvement. Kafka teaches that cruelty does not require hatred. It requires indifference. Kafka's worldview. Kafka's universe asserts, suffering has no moral function. Systems have no conscience. The universe does not notice you. This is not pessimism. It is diagnosis. Kafka does not say you are guilty. He says your innocence is irrelevant. The rules were never made with you in mind. Why these writers reject each other? This is not a disagreement about characters. It is a disagreement about reality. Hugo believes, people are wounded, they can be healed. Grace enters the world through human compassion. A single act of mercy can rewrite destiny. Valjean's redemption is not a fantasy. It is Hugo's model of civilization. Human beings must repair the damage that institutions cause. Kafka believes people are irrelevant to the systems they inhabit. Meaning is not denied. It does not exist. To hope is to misunderstand the rules. Josef K is not unredeemed because redemption is not an option. The world is not designed for it. That is the gulf. Hugo believes in souls. Kafka believes in corridors. Souls can be persuaded, uplifted, healed. Corridors cannot. It is tempting to choose. When you first encounter these authors, you want to pick a side, to say that Les Miserables is truth, that kindness changes lives, that mercy matters, and that a single person can redirect another's future. Or to say that the trial is truth, that bureaucracy consumes identity, that absurdity is the real structure of modern life, and that human beings are crushed by invisible rules. But this instinct misses something essential. The world contains both. Lives rebuilt by mercy. Some lives turn because someone intervenes, a teacher, a mentor, a stranger, a single act that says, "I see you differently than the world does." Hugo does not claim compassion always works. He claims that it sometimes works, and that this is enough to change everything. Hugo insists that mercy is not naive. It is radical. Lives crushed by systems. Some lives fall into machines that do not care who they destroy, paperwork that ruins careers, housing systems that break families, medical forms that decide whether you live or die, immigration processes that erase identities, institutions that do not hate you, because they never noticed you in the first place. Kafka tells you, you are not imagining the walls. They are designed into the building. He does not ridicule hope. He questions its practicality. Two different fears. Hugo answers the fear that we are unforgivable, that we are stained beyond repair, that it is too late. Kafka answers the fear that we are insignificant, that we matter so little that the universe will not even explain our punishment. Neither fear is fantasy. Both live in the same world. Read Hugo and Kafka side by side and the picture sharpens. At one end, vulnerability. We are small. We can be crushed by structures that do not see us. At the other, compassion. We can lift one another. We can be the bishop in someone else's story. Literature does not tell us which universe we inhabit. It teaches us to recognize both when we meet them. Hugo is the ladder. Kafka is the ceiling. To understand humanity, you need them both. Some books insist redemption is not only real, but necessary. Others whisper that the desire for redemption is how the world traps you in the first place. Victor Hugo points to a moment, candlesticks on a table, a hand on a shoulder, and says, "See how one human choice reshapes another's destiny." Franz Kafka raises the curtain to show that destiny was already scripted, and the spotlight was never meant to find you. Hugo's voice is thunderous with faith. No one is beyond saving if someone chooses to save them. Kafka's is surgical and quiet. Salvation is a story told to keep you compliant. Both speak to the same human hunger, to be seen, to be forgiven, to be understood. Hugo believes this hunger can be fed. Kafka believes it can be weaponized. Maybe you've lived a Hugo week. A stranger's kindness changes the temperature of your life, and you walk home lighter, suddenly convinced the world can bend toward good. Maybe you've lived a Kafka year, lost in paperwork and policies, blamed without explanation, wondering when the trial began and why no one told you there were rules. The map of human possibility is torn between these two visions. In one, a soul is a flame that another person can shelter with cupped hands. In the other, the flame flickers alone in a wind that never learns your name. We move through both cities, one built of mercy, one built of corridors, sometimes on the same day. So the final question is not which author is right. It's whether you have learned to recognize the bishop when he knocks, and whether you notice the court when it opens its doors without warning. Because redemption is not a guarantee, and meaning is not a birthright. They are invitations. Some are offered freely. Some were never meant for you. If you want to keep exploring the world literature builds, its ladders, its ceilings, and the spaces in between, subscribe for more.